welcome everyone. Could I ask if it's possible for as many of you, just for us, even if just for a moment, just to put your cameras on, because it'll give us a great view on the screen here to welcome. If we were in the room, we would be able to sort of welcome Paul. So thank you for joining today. This is our amazing kindness and positivity seminar, and Paul will be able to properly introduce himself to you and his background for this. But this is one of the things with our launch of Fab Change 22 to 23, and we're really excited to have Paul here. So without further ado, Paul Devlin.
So, well, bless you all for logging on this morning to come and say hello to us. So, I'm Paul Devlin from the Emergency Care Improvement Team at NHS England and Fab Ambassador. And last year, myself and my colleague Nikki Pointer, we created the NHS Kindness and Positivity Network as part of the Fab Academy Change Day last November. So, and it's been a bit of a fantastic journey since then. So what we wanted to do today, guys, is just share with you some really simple ideas, but they're scientific ideas and they relate to science and the science of kindness and positivity. And what we've been doing in the NHS is helping people to understand these ideas in the context of improving how we deliver our services and how they can become their best selves. And that's the true formula to it, helping people become their best selves. And then all the other stuff we want for our services, our patients and service users, will happen. So the context for the session, I'll put up the machine, is that where me and Nikki were starting from as Fab Ambassadors was every patient and service user deserves the quality of care that we want for ourselves and the family. Now, we're not idealists. We appreciate that that's not consistently the case. But what we do subscribe to is everybody doing a little bit every day to make it so. But in order for that to happen, we need to make sure that we've got kind, positive and supportive environments where our teams can be at their best. So that's the mission for today's session with you, to show you how the science of kindness and positivity can help you be your best selves. Now, why would we ever want to be our best selves? It's a bit of a stupid question, really. Who wouldn't want to be the best selves? But the reality around it from the psychological research fields are that people who consistently aim to be their best selves achieve, bless you, my child, achieve things that other people can't. That's the reality of it. People who are consistently their best selves achieve things that other people can't. So that's why we want to do that. And it all starts with a decision to be kind. A conscious decision to be kind. Now, we all kind of get the idea that we've been on the end of an act of kindness and we've been kind to other people and it feels really nice. The problem with that is people feel it is a bit of a soft and fluffy concept and it doesn't really stack up to being anything meaningful in terms of improving our lives or the quality of our services. It's too fluffy. Well, the aim of this slide, guys, is to convince you that actually you couldn't be further from the truth. What researchers have found, scientifically proven, is that when you make a conscious decision to be kind, it triggers a chemical chain reaction in your brain, in your autonomic nervous system. This is not within your normal control. It's along the lines of your heart beating and you breathing. This is something that your autonomic nervous system does. It triggers a chain reaction when you make a conscious decision to be kind. That chemical chain reaction then leads on to certain things happening in your brain that actually make choosing to be kind the most significant thing you can do to influence your personal success. The most significant thing you can do. And this is why we want to share this with you guys today. So making a conscious decision to be kind, the first thing that does, it triggers a chemical reaction with a lovely group of chemicals in your brain automatically called the serotonin bomb, right? The serotonin gang of chemicals does lots of lovely things for you. The first thing it does, it makes you feel kind and want to be kind because you've made a conscious decision. You've instructed your subconscious brain to do so. And when you're kind, the chemical release that's generated causes you to feel happy. And in 2016, this is probably the latest research, guys, we've got on this chemistry, In 2016, researchers at Oxford University and Nottingham University proved without a doubt, over 400,000 or 500,000 people, 7-year study, that people who are kind have happier lives than those that choose not to be kind generally, or go with the flow or whatever. Consciously choosing to be kind makes you, sets you up for a happier life. And what they equally discovered was people who are generally more happier than not, or are happier than most people, are kinder than most people. And the two are correlated and they can't be separated. So that's the first lovely thing this little bunch of chemical reactions serotonin does for us. It gives us a link between being kind and having a happier life. The other thing that kindness does for us is kindness is contagious beyond your wildest understanding. Beyond your wildest understanding. It is really, really, really contagious. And there was a lovely experiment, lovely little case study from the Starbucks crew on a drive-in unit here. And what the guys on the till noticed, that when somebody pulled up and requested their order and paid their order, they said, "What's the guy behind having?" And they said, "Oh, they've ordered this." So he said, "I'm going to pay for that as well." And we call that a random act of kindness. It's one of the best things, best ways you can get up in the morning and get yourself with that chemical serotonin release. Go and do a random act of kindness for somebody. So this guy bought a drink for the car behind, right? What they didn't expect and what shocked them was this. That act of kindness replicated for 2.5 hours before it stopped. And they estimated that 150 cars had drinks bought for them because of a random act of kindness that started with one coffee. Now that's the power and the contagion of kindness. It's staggering. It's absolutely staggering. Now, the other little thing kindness does to you, thank you to these chemical releases going on in your brain that you have no direct control over, it causes you to have a higher self-esteem. Now, I love self-esteem because I honestly believe everything comes down to self-esteem. Self-esteem, how we think about how we are and our capabilities and our opportunities and our ability to make stuff happen and make the world work, is self-esteem. By making one decision to be kind, you will automatically increase your self-esteem 100%. Guaranteed, every time. It's an amazing thing. And what we do know is the super achievers in life have what? They have a high self-esteem. The other thing it does is the chemical release around that triggers all this kind of high self-esteem and positivity, can-do ability as I call it, is really good at diluting the toxins that hurt us. They cancel out the stress hormones, the hormones that increase our blood pressure. They actually make us live longer as well by cancelling that stuff out. So we've got the health, the actual physical health benefits, as well as the emotional health and well-being aspects to it as well. And in terms of success personally and professionally, the release of serotonin triggers something called the belief success cycle. Now, this is based on the self-esteem point. If you've got a high self-esteem and you feel you can make the world work in your part of the galaxy and you can make things a little bit better for yourself, your family, your patients, and your service users, that's a high self-esteem, it's a high self-belief. That triggers a chemical reaction now that gives you high potential. You've got a high potential to move. Your goals are, they're not smart goals because they're boring. We don't like smart goals in this game. We like huge, unbelievably great goals. We like hugs. People that use science and kindness and positivity to be their best selves, guys, they reset the bar on what they expect from life and they tend to get it. That then causes you to take more action than you might do normally, which then leads to results. Now, some people will say, well, do you know what? I'm not happy doing all this great stuff because it takes me out of my comfort zone and I might get hurt. And the answer is you might. But what these kinds of people understand, who use this science to be the best selves, is there's no such thing as failure, it's only learning. You never fail. You always get a result. It might not be the result you want, but you can look at it. You can think what you're going to do differently next time, and you go at it again. There's no such thing as failure. You always get a result. Now, what kind of positive people really, really understand is they're aware of their impact. And we all have the ability to impact on other people. It's just a psychological constant, as they call it. Nobody's exempt from this. But the really scary thing is, guys, psychologically, people will... The way you describe others is the way people see you. The way you describe others is how people will see you. So if you hear me talking about somebody in a kind of positive way, they've done some great work, I've valued them, I really appreciate them, enjoy working with them, your subconscious brain does two things, and it does it under a second. The first thing it does is it identifies the traits. And that's the subject I'm talking about. And in this scenario, you know, walking into Jennie this morning, I said, Jennie, you've done an amazing job getting all this stuff together. I bet you're really excited. So my subconscious, or people that would have heard me in Jennie's subconscious mind, will be saying, I'm going to identify a trait, and that trait is an attitude of gratitude. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the trait back to the individual that's talking about it. So Jennie's subconscious mind saying, actually, that poor Devlin is a bit of a weirdo, but he's quite a nice guy, actually. Now, the reverse is true. If you're huddled around the water cooler, slagging somebody off, the same happens. They identify the traits. Subconsciously, there's nothing you can do about it. You're being disrespectful. You're being negative. You're bringing somebody down. Now, subconscious mind of the other person flips it back and says, you know something? I actually think that poor Devlin's a bit of a waste. I thought it was all right, actually, at one point, but no, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. Spontaneous trait transference. It's spontaneous because it happens in under a second. It's autonomic. We cannot control it. It happens every time you open your mouth or smile or whatever, your non-verbals. Trait transference is the scientific term for saying that people that are listening to you, their brains automatically take that trait and apply it back to you, and they will judge you by it. It's a really critical thing, spontaneous trait transference. And the other little thing around this is really nice. Thinking about the Starbucks example, power of your impact. If you bump into, say, 20 random people a day, at home, supermarket, gym, at work, whatever, 20 people, just say, everybody bumps into at least 20 people a day, right? Online, whatever it is. And you do something positive, you smile at them, you say something nice, act of kindness, you make them feel great. Now, the researchers will say you have caused a reaction that they have quantified in science to be an average of a 10% uplift in emotional state. 10% uplift. Now, the 20 people you've given a 10% uplift to, go and bump into 20 people, and they go and bump into 20 people. Now, the reality is, the researchers say, is through this research called hyperdyadic spread, which all that means, it's a posh way of saying your ability to influence the emotional state of people you never meet. You have just influenced, you have given an average of a 10% emotional uplift to 8,000 people. 8,000 people by bumping into 20 people and being positive. That's how powerful we are. You can see, can't you, how this is cool. I mean, the coffee is one thing, but this is incredible stuff. Now, you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? If you can give people a 10% uplift in their positivity, their emotional state, what can you also do? You can give 8,000 people a 10% downlift in their emotional state. And we call those people what? Is it my favourite subject? Mood hoovers. They suck the living bejeebers out of you. I take it, right? Mood hoovers. 10% emotional shift down. So if you happen to be in an organisation like a health and care service, where you've got people reporting to you who need to be in top form, A game, be the best selves, and you think by being a mood hoover they're going to do it, then think again. Now, we understand that this kind of technology is not for everybody, But what we do stress to people is nobody is exempt. So you have a choice. When we're looking at this technology, you can either think about it and say, how can I put this into practice to be my best self and help others do the same? Or actually, it's not for me, it's a bit out there, right? Absolutely not interested. But a message to those kinds of guys is, you are not exempt from the effects of this technology. And the people that are going to succeed over you are the people that want to use it and be the best selves. Can everybody see the video screen? I've got a little video screen just come up. Can I have a show of hands? We've got a video screen? Yeah. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to click it, so hopefully it's going to move. And then can you put your hand up if you can hear the sounds? Have you got sounds? Kind, positive people who choose to be their best selves understand behaviour breeds behaviour. It's a critical thing. And the reason it's so critical is whatever behaviour you put out, how you show up and interact with yourself subconsciously and others will set a chain reaction out in the world to do exactly the same as you are. Behaviour breeds behaviour, and more importantly, behaviour breeds the same kind of behaviour that you're expressing. So if you need people to be kind, positive, best self, on their A game, creative problem solvers, passionate about what they do, guess what? You've got to be that to get that reaction. And if you're not, you can't expect to get a different reaction. So the aim of the slide, that little laughing session, and I laugh every time, I've seen it hundreds of times now, but your behaviour triggers a behavioural reaction in people that are immediately associated with you. The man who was laughing on the train didn't know anybody on the train other than the people in Coca-Cola t-shirts. He is like a quadruple PhD holder in positive psychology, specialising in laughter and positive behaviour. And he does this for a living. And the video I showed you was one of 7 videos that I made that day, going around the London Tube, getting people to laugh, to show that behaviour breeds behaviour. Now, where we very often go wrong as leaders is expressing a behaviour that's not positive. It could be negative, it could be toxic, it could be harassing, it could be bullying, whatever it is, and then expecting people to go forth and do something different than what we've just indicated. It just doesn't work. Have you ever heard the term, what's the best way to get people to be enthusiastic and motivated? Be enthusiastic and motivated yourself. And this is the science it links to. Behaviour breeds behaviour. It's a psychological constant, which means there's nothing you can do about it, and it's always there. Kind, positive, and be your best self people generate the same around them. So if that's what you need in your life, guys, that's how you're going to need to show up. Now, I'm going to have you whip your mobile phones out, if that's okay. Can people see the QR code on the screen? Can you just pop your hand up if you can see the QR code? Brilliant. Can you, if you've got a mobile phone, just point your camera at the QR code, and if not, just put into your browser the Mentimeter address, and that should take you to a page where you can put in this code number. And with a bit of luck, we're going to get you onto Mentimeter. Can everybody see the website with the hearts flying? Yeah, we've got that. We've got the hearts flying. Brilliant. 35. Look at all the hearts coming. We're feeling the love, guys. Feeling the love today. Look at this, Jenny. Look at it. Who do you tend to talk to most? We're going to save the data. I'll give it to Jenny. She can put it out as part of today's session. So husband's the top answer. Awesome. Right. My goodness. Right. Let me see. Just going to flip quick around. I always have to I haven't got any technology on this, so okay, guys, thank you for doing that question. We'll flick it back to the slide screen. Now, actually, guys, the point of getting you to do this is just to see who you do think you talk to the most, but there is a correct answer out of all that lot. And it's interesting that nobody put it on the survey.
Ourselves.
That lady has it.
I've just
that lady has it. So the person we talk to the most is ourself. Now I've got somebody there. Naomi's going. He's having a laugh. I can see her there. She's biting her nails, going, "There's no way. He's off the scale on this one, Terry. I don't know what you've done."
First sign of madness.
Naomi's saying, "What on earth were you thinking to get this guy to come and talk to us about this wacky stuff?" You know, the science behind you guys is absolutely everybody on the planet talks to themselves. It has a very, very technical scientific name called self-talk. And there's two types of self-talk. There's a negative self-talk and a positive self-talk. And broadly speaking, the majority of the negative self-talk comes from our subconscious mind that deals with all the autonomic stuff like breathing and heartbeat and stuff. It just pops it into our conscious mind. The positive self-talk comes from our conscious brain, prefrontal cortex, our conscious thinking. And that links us lovely onto this slide. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes with you talking about one of the most important things in your life from this point going forward, bar nothing. I'm going to introduce you to your reticular activating system, or RAS. Reticular activating system. It's at the base of your brain, at the back of your brain. Everybody's got it. Basically, it's a filter. And the reason why it exists is because psychologists will tell us on average there's 11 million bits of information a second hit our five senses. 11 million. And it's the same for all of us. But our brains can only consciously process 50 of the 11 million. 50. So my question to you is, if we're all hit with 11 million bits of information a second, how do we know what to think about? How do we know what to put in the bucket of 50 bits of information to feed up to our conscious level? How do we work that out? It created a really vigorous debate in the academic world of psychology. And back in the 60s, they ended up creating a concept called "we create our own reality." And the concept behind "we create our own reality" is this notion that we take 11 million bits of information a second through our five senses, and we choose in some way 50 of the 11 million, and the 50 bits of information that we choose in our subconscious thinking to go to our conscious thought makes up our reality. Our reality is constructed by the 50 bits of information a second your brain allows up to your conscious thought. That's your reality. And that's why psychologists say we all create our own reality. Now, the reticular activating system at the back of the base of your skull, the RAS, filters the information from the 11 million to the 50 million, and it makes the decision for you, is the answer. The reticular activating system, your RAS, decides which of the 11 million bits of information It's going to push up the pipe to your conscious thought. Now, the first thing about conscious thought is that it triggers emotions. We feel our thinking, everything, good, bad, or ugly. That's the first thing it does. Now, the RAS might be a bit of quite an efficient filter, but it's very bad at working out what to serve up in the 50 bits of information, and I'll tell you why. It uses a process, and this is how we get from the 11 million to the 50. Your reticular activating system makes a decision on your behalf. It says, what has Patricia thought about the most for the last week? And the thing that Patricia thinks about most in the last week, I'm going to put in priority order. She thinks about that most, then that, then that, then that, then that. So the reticular activating system says to her, that's really cool. I'm going to go and find more of her top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that she's thinking about constantly, because I think if she's thinking about that stuff more than anything else, that's more important to her, and I'm going to serve more of that up on a silver plate. That's how you create your own reality. Your RAS decides what to serve up to your conscious brain based on what you think about most. Now, people who choose to be the best selves understand this. And the reason why the RAS isn't very, very clever is because it doesn't know what hurts us. It just gives us more of what we think about. Now, if that happens to be kindness, positivity, high self-esteem, make the world work, you're going to get a load more of that. So that's brilliant, isn't it? But unfortunately, if it's low in mood, anxiety, depression, stress, worry, anger, toxicity, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a lot more of that too. Now, you don't want more of it, do you? But you're going to get more of it. And this is the scientific phenomenon. I can't say, how do you say phenomenon?
Phenomenon.
Thank you, guys.
Phenomenon.
But why people go from low in mood, they have an off day, and then the clinical term for what comes after an off day is low in mood, and then you can't face coming to work, and blah, 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 you spiral down. What's happening there, guys, is the RAS is taking more of the negative, toxic stuff it's serving up to you and throwing more of it up to your conscious mind. So people that use the science of kindness and positivity routinely in their day practice understand that they have got to get a grip on their thoughts, and they need to focus predominantly on the things that serve them. We get more of what we focus on. Right, guys, I'm going to get you back into Menti. And this is your happiness self-assessment. It's the first time I've ever done this. And we've had the technology around, but it's the first time we've ever included it in our session. And we're doing it today because it's a special fab event. And I promised Jennie we're going to do some new stuff that we've never put in a session before. So we deliberately held this back from their National Wellbeing webinar, just so we could have it as a fab thing, and they can have it some other time. Because we're a lot more important than those guys, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hey, oh gosh, we're recording this, aren't we? They're all right as well. They're all right as well. Okay, so we'll flip to Menti. So in an average week, how happy would you say you are on average? So if you can visualize in your mind a 10-point scale, 1 is I'm just really, really unhappy, and 10 is I'm not off the scale, but yeah, I'm really happy most of the time. Or if you think about your average week, take last week, right? As long as it's an average week and nothing extreme happened, either good, bad, or ugly for you. If it was an okay average week for you, on average, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy were you? We've got quite a lot of people who have fairly good happiness scores, if you like, for the week, and we've got a few guys there that you've had some stuff going on, and hopefully some of the technology that we're showing you today might help you. But what I normally say at the end, I'd probably say now, is basically if anybody wants to know a little bit more and understand this technology a bit more, please get in touch via Jennie and we can set up stuff to come and talk to you about it. And what I will say, you'll probably say it now anyway, said it at the end, as this is about pledges, supporting, you know, the concept that we're doing with Fab Academy and the pledges to make an impact and pick on something and work on a goal that's going to make a difference in the world. If anybody wants to become a kindness and positivity ambassador within the Fab Academy, let us know, because that could be your pledge. And we're on a mission to train 1,000 people in every region of the country to be able to deliver this material to their teams in their workplaces. And if you want to do it in a social environment, that's fine as well. We're going to support you through the Kindness and Positivity Network, Fab Academy, to do that. So we'll take you back to the slides. So guys, what I've just asked you to describe there is something called your happiness set point. Everybody without exception has got something called a happiness set point. And it's the point that it's your happiness level, and that happiness level can, as you'll appreciate, move depending on what's going on in your life. But the science behind it says you will always revert back to something called your happiness set point. And we all have a happiness set point. So if we have something awesome happen, we'll get a spike of happiness. If something bad happens, we'll get a lower happiness. But it's a bit like an elastic band, if you will. It comes back to a constant point, and that is your happiness set point. Now, kind and positive people who choose to be the best self understand this concept, which is brilliant. It's called the happiness formula. So what makes your happiness set point? 3 things. The first thing is 50% of your happiness state comes from your DNA. You're born with it. Blame your parents. It's how you're wired. You can't do nothing about it. Right? 50% biology. 10% comes from life events, good, bad, or ugly. But here's the take-home thing for you. We control up to 40% of our happiness state through our deliberate actions. 40% of our happiness comes from what we decide to do or not do. 40%. That's staggering. That is staggering. Forget the 50, right? That's just biology. Forget it. You can't influence. Forget life events, because that's just stuff that's going to come along, isn't it? But 40% of your happiness comes from what you do. And kind and positive people understand this really critical thing. Happiness starts with who? You. The kindest, the most positive, and most successful people in the world make sure that they are kind to themselves first. They are their best first responders. And it's a bit like when you're on a plane and it's in turbulence and the mask dropped down. And what did they say to you? You put your own oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else, don't you? It's the same in kindness. This is your kindness formula. 40% of intentional activity makes up your kindness, your happiness set point. Now, when negative stuff comes along, up until about 15 years ago, the researchers, the academics used to say, right, that's not an issue. You've got a mood hoover, has you, right? Or you've got a bad life event. You just need one positive event to come along, and that'll just cancel it out. Well, the answer to that is they've learned that doesn't work. So people who use this technology to be the best selves understand something called negativity bias. Now, that's basically talking to a bit of science that addresses the concept that when something negative comes along, it sticks to our brain like Velcro, because we are negatively wired by default. It goes back to cave dweller days when they were saying, don't step outside your cave or you'll get eaten. Actually, don't step inside that cave because something will eat you either. So it's a protection mode, but the negative stuff that comes along sticks to you like Velcro. It doesn't want you to take any chances where you could get hurt. Now, the positive stuff comes along in the same way, but it's gone in a second. Our brains are trained. They don't want it. They just do. They doesn't want to handle it. It's gone in a second. So the research guys worked out that for every one negative thing that comes along your way, you need a minimum of 3 consecutive positives to cancel that out and get you back to where you were before the negative thing happened. It's the 3-to-1 ratio. It's the negativity bias. It's a lovely little thing to know. Now, what I tend to do to get rid of the negativity bias is I've got an email folder that says positive stuff. And every time somebody writes to me about something nice, I put it in there. And then a mood hoover comes along and wipes past me, right? Upsets my day. I don't allow them to upset the day. They can upset the hour, but not the day. And then I'll open up my positivity folder and I'll read some nice stuff. I'll also look at me iPhone and I'll look at the things I've put down in my iPhone. So, you know, I might take an extra hour going home because I'm going to drive through the country, or I'm just going to go and put myself into a nicer hotel than the company might like me to. And I'm going to claim a legitimate reason, of course, for doing that, because they give me breakfast as opposed to the cheaper hotel, but it happens to be in a nicer place. So being kind to yourself. So I have a list in my phone that helps me get over the negativity bias. Now, we mentioned earlier on, gosh, we're virtually gone, guys, so I'm going to whiz through 1 or 2 of these. But just to say a little thing about happy colleagues, people who are their best selves understand the link between kindness and happiness that we spoke about at the start of the session. But imagine if I came to you at work with a business case that says, I'm going to reduce your short-term sickness by 90%. I'm going to halve your attrition rate. And I'm going to help your talent manage 50% of your staff into bigger and better roles with you. I'm going to help your team be more resilient. So this concept about kindness and happiness being interlinked is absolutely true. This was a study of 430,000 people. The reference is there for you. 430,000 people over 5 years, and these were the findings. 6 times more engaged, stay twice as long, twice as likely to be promoted, take 1/10 of unplanned sick leave. That's a pretty compelling business case for creating really happy people at work. Chris Turner's work from Coventry is amazing. The only thing I'm going to say about Chris Turner's work is, if you haven't seen it, go have a look, because it's really important, talking about the impact of incivility. But the thing that really strikes me is the 38% of people that experience incivility reduce the quality of their work. And here's the scary thing. They do it deliberately. I'm not sure I'd want to be on that waiting list, or in that outpatient clinic, or on that ward. We've had a little talk about mood hoovers, but the wonderful Jim Rohn, American personal development coach way back 60s and 70s, what he taught us was we are the average of the 5 people we spend most time with. So you might be little Miss or Mr. Positive, but if you're in a world of mood hoovers, then watch out, they will drag you down, and there's not a thing you can do about it. Be careful who you hang out with. Didn't your parents tell you this? My parents didn't like one of my mates at school, not one of them. Not one of them. They're going to get you into trouble, Paul. We don't like you. But Andy's my best mate, Mom. I don't care if he's your best mate. He's an idiot. Stay away from him. Do you think it changes when you grow up? Just because we're employed by them. Be really careful who you're hanging out with. Really careful. Because they will bring you down with them. I haven't got time to tell you the case study, but I'll do that on another one. Couple of final thoughts to leave you with. 90% in 90% situations, it's not the event that determines how successful you are with your outcome, it's how you respond to the event. And kind and positive people understand 2 things. Locus of control basically means you either determine what happens to you in your life, you can decide to make things happen, control of your own destiny, or you have this external locus of control and you go, whoa, no. I'm going to go with the flow. Whatever happens will happen, right? And then I'll react to it. Kind, positive, and the most successful people in the country, guess which locus of control they have? It's an internal one, isn't it? You determine your fate. The only thing I'm going to leave you with on this is your top 10 list. What I would say to you is, if I had to pick one, is focus your thoughts on the things that serve you. Check in with yourself a couple of times a day and say, what am I currently thinking about? And does that serve me or does it not? And whatever you do, don't ever forget the wonderful mayor, people don't really care. And they'll never remember what you said or what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Please follow us on the Fab Academy, guys. We're there for you as a resource. Thank you to the wonderful Roy and Terry for hosting us. They host our webpage, they promote our events, they turn up in person. So we're always deeply indebted to Roy and Terry. There's our Twitter handles. nhskindness.uk takes you to the Fab Academy webpage that we're on. We would love it if a handful of you could step forward, linked up, and wanted to get trained in this stuff, because we think it will make a really big difference to yourselves personally, your families, but your patients and service users as well. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Jenny, bless you.
Wow, thank you so much, Paul. You'll, I'll share the chat with you, but a great chat as we were going through that, and I have already got a couple of names of people who want to be champions. So it started off with, I've got a lot of badges to send out, and I will send a badge out to everyone who's attended today. And I know a couple of people, I've got a couple of people in each room, but absolutely think, just to take away, like you're saying, around those 10 top things or how to avoid mood hoovers, they can be your pledges. Please, could we use those pledges to help drive forward and lead on things that will make a difference to all of us. And there was so much. I just love the fact that there's science behind all these feelings that we've been having. I mean, my daughter's a scientist, and there's times with my grandchildren I go, oh, that's magic. And she goes, no, Mum, it's science. You know, and the fact that the science with the way that we're feeling is fabulous. So we have recorded this. And Terry's a bit of a whiz as well, and she's going to sort of edit it and put titles on it and stuff. We will share that out, and we will put it on our intranet as well as the link to the Fab Academy. I'm on leave next week, but when we come back mid-August, I'll set up our first little get together around taking the campaign forward, because this fits into, so you know, from all our director blogs and all the work that we're doing through well-being and organisational development and the cultural work. Actually, if we got this right, everything else would fall into place, wouldn't it? It would just be amazing. So please get in touch, sign up to be a champion with us. You probably get an extra badge, you never know. Maybe even t-shirts, who knows, and a video. But huge thanks, everyone. We'll share the video, we'll share the themes from the chat, and I'll get busy labelling envelopes and getting all your badges to you. But have a fabulous day. Thanks very much. Thanks to all of you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Jenny.